Hello students, I hope you enjoyed that little tune there to start out the lesson. Today we're going to look at writing the equation of the line. So go ahead and take out your notes packets and let's get started. And just so you'll know, this is the first of 3 lessons on this topic, writing the equation of a line. We're going to spend quite a bit of time doing this. Alright, so let's fill in some notes here. The equation of a line can be written in the form y equals mx plus b. You've seen this before, where m is the slope. M represents the slope, and you know what the b represents. B represents the y-intercept. If you remember, the y-intercept is the point on the y-axis that the line crosses. So the point where the line crosses the y-axis. We call this the slope-intercept form of a linear equation. There's different ways we can write a linear equation. This is called the slope-intercept form because it has the slope, the m, and it has the y-intercept, the b. That's where we get slope-intercept form. So let's go ahead and remember that the equation is going to be written y equals mx plus b, and let's look at a couple of examples. Right, the first one, we want to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. So when you see that slope-intercept form, you want to think y equals mx plus b. And you're going to plug in a number for m, and you're going to plug in a number for b, and then leave the y and x alone. So the m is our slope, and we have a slope of 2 in this first example. So m equals 2, so I'm going to plug that in for m, and the y-intercept is 15. Or remember, we call the y-intercept our b. We have both the things we know, the m that we need to know, the m and the b, so we'll just substitute them in. So I'm going to substitute this 2 in for the m and this 15 in for the b. So I'm going to have y equals m, which is 2x, plus b, and b is 15. And there is my equation of the line written in slope-intercept form. Right? You take just a moment and see if you can do example 2 the same way we did example 1. Okay, in example 2, the slope is negative 1/2, and the y-intercept is negative 7. So when I plug those into the equation, y equals mx plus b, it's y equals negative 1/2 x, and then since the b is negative 7, I'm going to put minus 7, or you could have put plus a negative 7, either way, but we typically will write minus 7. What I've given here in this graphic is a way to write the equation of a line when you don't have the slope and the y-intercept. To be able to write the equation, you have to have a couple things. The first thing is you have to have a point on the line. That point could be your y-intercept, or it could just be some point that's on the line. Okay. The second thing you have to have is your slope of the line, and we could give you that slope, or I could give you 2 points and you could find the slope from those 2 points. Alright, then what you're going to do is you're going to substitute what you have into this equation, and you're going to find what b is. Okay, so if I already have b, well then I'm good. If I don't have b, I'm going to use the x and the y, and I'll show you how to do that here in the examples we're going to do in just a moment. And then finally, once I have the b, I'm going to write it in the equation y equals mx plus b, plug the m and the b in that I just found. Okay, so the best way to look at this is by looking at an example. We want to write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. So remember, when you hear that slope-intercept form, we're going to write y equals m times x plus b, and we have to find the m and the b. So if you'll remember, we have to have a point on the line. Well, if I look, it says it goes through the point 2, 5. So there's my point that's on the line. Alright, it also says I have to have the slope of the line. Well, I've given you the slope of the line. The slope is 1. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to substitute into the equation y equals mx plus b. But you'll notice we don't have the b, so we're going to substitute this point into the equation. Remember, the 2 is your x, the 5 is your y. Since this point is on the line, it means that the point has to make the equation a true statement. It has to be a solution. So what that does, that helps us out to find our b. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to plug in my 1 for my m. I'm going to plug in my 2 for my x. I'm going to plug in my 5 for my y. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to plug in 5 for y equals your m is your 1 times your x is your 2, and then plus, I don't know what my b is. You'll notice now I have an equation with one variable, and I can solve that equation. So I'll go ahead and multiply the 1 times 2 and get 2 plus b. I'll subtract 2 from both sides. That makes my 0 pair, and I have b is going to be 3. So I substituted into y equals mx plus b, and I solved for b. The last thing is we're going to write the final equation in y equals mx plus b form using the slope that was given and the b that I just found. Alright, so I'll plug it into y equals mx plus b. Y equals m, my m is 1, x plus my b is 3. And there's my equation, y equals 1x plus 3. You could write it as y equals x plus 3 because 1 times x is just x. Either way will work, okay? Alright, hopefully that made sense to you. Remember, you're just going to plug in the x, the y, and the m, and then you're going to solve for b. Go ahead and try that with this last example and see how you can do. Go ahead and pause the video, work the problem out, then turn the video back on and look and see how you did. Okay, hopefully you at least got this far. You plugged in the -6 for y, the -2/3 for your m, and the 3 for your x. And then we're going to solve for b. So if I multiply -2/3 times 3, that actually just gives me -2. And then plus my b. I'll add 2 to both sides. That makes a 0 pair. And -4 will equal my b. So now I have the b and I have the m. I'll just plug them into the equation. Y equals -2/3 x, and since it's -4, or it's -4 is my b, I'm just going to put -4. If you put plus a -4, that would still work, but we prefer you put -4. And there's the equation. Alright, I hope this made sense. If you need to go back and review part of the video, please do that. And make sure you complete the whisk and submit that. And we'll see you in class.